a part-time musician at the moment. I'd love it to be a full-time thing, but I don't know how I can make. When I get offered a gig, it's not like trying to battle them for more money. It's like, sweet as, we're playing shows. I love it.
What's good, lovely people? Welcome to another episode of Den Devine Sessions. This is recorded live from Den Devine, a music venue right here in Broadbeach, Gold Coast, Australia. I'm your host, Joseph Brown, a musician, a creator, and a passionate advocate for all things music. With years of experience on the stage and behind the scenes, I'm here to bring you stories from the heart of the music industry. Whether you're an upcoming musician, a seasoned pro, or dedicated music fan, this podcast is for you. Let's get into the episode.
It's Den Devine time. Den Devine. Den Devine. Den Devine time.
We're back here on the Den Devine Sessions in the beautiful Gold Coast at an awesome venue called Den Devine here in the Broadbeach, where we talk about the music industry and everything inside it, all of the pretty parts, all of the ugly parts, and everything in between. That's what's important at the moment. That's the hot topic. And here I have a very special guest. I have Andy Martin. Do you like Andy or Andrew?
Andy.
Andy?
Yeah.
Depends if you've been good or bad. Or
Nah, man, just Andy.
Just Andy.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And Andy's come down from Brisbane, and we're just gonna get straight into it, get into the industry, get into the background and everything. Andy, tell me about yourself, man.
I'm a indie rock artist, I guess you could say, but probably singer-songwriter, indie rock. Always been into that sort of music. I've been playing for years and years and years. Write my own music, tour with a band around. Love it. I've been doing the thing for a while, and I'm loving it more and more every day.
Yeah. So when did you get into it? When was let's talk about two. There's two lives in the music. I reckon more. But let's go about the two, right? First life, your inspiration that made you go, I want to be a musician. And then second life, I want this to be my thing where I'm doing it as a career. So let's go to the first life. What made you fall in love with music?
My family, or especially my dad's side of the family, are like classical and jazz musicians.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing in brass bands and orchestras and stuff like that, and really kind of finding my way doing music stuff. And then I always wrote music, and I remember when I was like 12 or 13, mum and dad got me a guitar because I was obsessed with it, and I taught myself all these different instruments. I'd have the radio going, or I'd have like a little Discman, and I'd have it in my ear, and I'd play along to everything.
Discman.
Yeah, man.
Love that stuff.
And I just taught myself a heap of instruments that I was interested in, and kind of found my way doing that because I had this goal to record everything for an album on my own. That was a goal that I had for a long time.
Wow. And did you do it?
I got a friend to play drums for an album, but because I can't drum. But
you just done boots and cats and boots, and you're like, I need more than boots and cats.
I can't vocal loop that. But yeah, I played in brass bands, jazz bands, orchestras, guitar when I was about 13, started writing songs. I went down and studied jazz trumpet with a friend of mine in South Australia, and then we started a band together. Mm-hmm. It was very funny. It was very like we were at school Monday to Friday doing jazz music, learning theory, doing all of that, and then on the weekends we were playing our silly little indie folky poppy songs together.
Nice.
And we ended up just forming a band from there, and then I've just kind of had the bug ever since that happened maybe 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
So you've gone from hobby to, would you consider yourself a career musician now?
Oh, look, that's a very funny question.
Yeah.
And we could sit here all day on that. I'm going to say I'm definitely a part-time musician.
Yeah.
It has always been a goal to make music a sustainable thing. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to find the right way that feels right to me to do that. Because for me personally, playing gigs every week isn't a sustainable thing. So trying to find the right way to do that. More and more I've been finding that it is becoming a little bit more sustainable, and like a lot more of the shows I'm playing are a lot more viable for what I'm doing. Yeah. And there's a trajectory there that's moving forward, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Not going backwards. But I'm going to say part-time musician at the moment. I'd love it to be a full-time thing, but I don't know how I can I know how I can make that sustainable, but I'm probably not in a position where I can make that 100% sustainable for right now.
Yeah. What do you think's like for you important when you say sustainability? Is that sustainable financially? Is that sustainable passionately? Or is that all of the above sustainable?
Honestly, all of the above.
Yeah.
In terms of money, unfortunately, you need that to be able to pay rent and and live. So that has to play some part in the conversation. But it's definitely, when I get offered a gig, it's not like trying to battle them for more money. It's like, sweet as, we're playing shows. I love it.
Yeah.
So like, I think in that respect, I'm not trying to get more money doing music, but it's probably something that has to sit in the back of your mind if you want to make it a sustainable and viable thing.
Yeah. And for you, like throughout your life, what was the defining moment for you that made you, not just, we all have that moment where we love music. I get that. But the moment where I want to do this, I want my life to be this. Was there a moment? Was it a gradual thing or?
Honestly, I've always played music and I've always wanted music to be a part of my life. And I think I've been searching in a way for what was the most authentic version of that for me. But I remember there's been a fair few kind of like pivotal gigs where I've played and thought, this is freaking awesome. Like this is like I could do this every day if I got the opportunity to. Like this feels awesome, and you kind of feel like you've got all of these people in the palm of your hand, and you could say anything.
The power.
Yeah, you could say jump, they'd say how high. Like you've got them right there in the palm of your hand, and that for me is just such like a crazy feeling, and I just start telling shit jokes. I love it, man. It's I don't know. I just feel like you're like not an out of body experience, but you're like just on another level.
Yeah,
like
cloud nine.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah.
it's sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah, swear.
Yeah. It's a really really cool feeling, and there's definitely been a few gigs where I've been like, wow, this is like sick. Like this is what I would want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And do you do like predominantly originals or a bit of both?
All originals.
All originals?
All originals, yeah.
That's really, really awesome. Like, that's really cool. And it's a different dynamic. Obviously covers is the main, breadwinner for the music industry. I do covers and originals. So I know that, I made a decision with covers because I have kids and everything, and I wanted to be with the kids and all that sort of stuff. And so it was really cool. But to take on the industry with all originals, wow, that's awesome, man. Like, really, congratulations on even that. Like half the job's showing up, and you've already shown up with, hey, I'm going to be an original artist.
Yeah, trying to get there. My partner and I play a lot of music together, and she does a little bit of the covers thing. And when we started out doing band stuff, like I was saying with my mate, when we started a group like 10 years ago or so, we'd do like the half covers, half originals thing, because venues wouldn't book you unless you were able to play a bit of both, play some music that they knew, play some of your music maybe, but it was mainly like songs that the audience would want to hear, which is part of it.
That's the job. Like it's the music industry's, it's a service industry really, right? Like if you called up, like let's say you got like, your toilet's blocked, you call up a plumber, say, hey, my toilet's blocked, can you unblock it, right? And he starts putting in a new faucet, and you're like, what are you doing? You're here to fix the toilet, right? I'm getting to a point here. The point is that in the music industry, that's sometimes what your job is to come and fix the toilet. When you're a cover artist, that's the job. I want you to play Wonderwall. That's the job.
Like
your job's to make people remember and all that sort of stuff go back.
Man, like cover gigs, the whole thing is playing songs that people know, people enjoy, people can sing along to, and people can feel something for.
Yeah.
And that's the whole job. I did probably a year and a half of every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We just did gigs, and we did pretty big gigs, 4-hour gigs, and it was like hectic. And
I do that.
It was it's
so draining.
Yeah, it was like good to pay the bills because I was at uni and stuff like that. But it did get a bit hard for me. Like I found myself not loving songs that I used to like have this like real passion for. And then when I moved back to Queensland, I did a lot of like corporate event stuff, and some of the gigs I absolutely loved, some of the gigs I absolutely hated. Like it was really hard to find like, I don't know, some sort of continuity and some form of like consistency with the gigs, because it was just
You don't know what you're walking into.
No idea. Very random. So I kind of made a call like 5 or 6 years ago. No, maybe 4 or 5 years ago to just do my thing.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not a moneymaker.
Yeah.
It's a passion project.
Yeah.
And yeah, as a support artist, it's part of support artist etiquette to play a cover for the audience, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think even big acts still play some covers.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
And it's like, if you're not doing that 5 times a week, then that's okay.
Yeah, it's
But
it's a bit of fun.
yeah, for sure. Now, I want to jump in on that. That would have to be one of the most hardest transitions. I've been doing it for 10 years, and that scares me to do that transition, to go from sturdy covers over to original music. And that's a part of why we're here today, is to talk about the music industry, talk about some things that maybe we can improve on as an industry, which is to create more for support for someone who is an original artist, because even the best covers were original artists. There was a house for them. There was a house and a place for AC/DC to come and be AC/DC, for all of these big acts, Powderfinger to be Powderfinger, for Busby and Roo, all these people to be who they are. And in your experience, so it's 5 years now, 5 or 6 years, whatever, you know, we're in that area, transitioning from 3 days a week covers over to I'm going to be an original artist. What are some of the challenges that you face straight off the bat?
Pretty much everything is a challenge. People not knowing your music's always a really hard thing to try and kind of cut through with. Yeah. I also find it quite hard to promote myself across social media, which I know is such a big part of the way that the music industry is leaning towards. Mm-hmm. So I've found a lot of hard challenges, but I've always been quite persistent and a really hard worker. So I've always kind of like kept grinding away slowly, and slowly getting on bigger gigs, slowly getting a name for myself in different parts of Australia. I've toured a lot. That was the other thing. Like I think I had to at the start do everything, so I knew the pain of being a completely original independent artist. Like I did all my own bookings, my own PR, my own releases. I did everything at the start.
Wow.
And then an agent found me, and then I was working with them for bookings and stuff, which was a good help for a while. And I've worked with like bigger publicity companies and stuff now. So, but I think I needed to do the grunt work and the stuff, and it was really challenging because I didn't know that much about the industry, nor does anyone. You could be working in it for years and things are just changing all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard, but I think I always had, and I didn't mind working as well. So I think in the back of my mind, I was just working hospo jobs and playing music. And when I was playing music, that was kind of the fun bit. So it's really, really challenging to try and make, I suppose, a sustainable, like I always go back to the word sustainable.
It's a great word.
Yeah, because it's just...
This is what you want.
Yeah, like I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be too famous. I just want to be able to like play music. I want to be able to feel comfortable. I want to be like, I don't know. It'd be nice to have a family and be able to play music at the same time. Like that's a good goal to have.
Yeah, and I mean I was thinking this the other day. The idea of fame, it just sounds daunting to me. Like I like my own space.
Yeah, same, man.
And can you imagine anywhere you go, someone's like, you know, you wear a red shirt. You know, imagine you're famous. That shirt might be on the news tomorrow. Saw Andy Martin at Broadbeach in a red shirt. It's like, what?
Who cares?
Who cares about that stuff?
Yeah.
And, you know, just to live in that limelight all of the time, I could imagine it would start, you know, it'll create another whole different problem that you don't have now.
I feel like it'd be pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm a big homebody as well, and I'm not I don't love the networking and the partying side of music too much. So I find there's some limitations in that for myself. And I know that. Like I've had people say, oh, come out and meet this person for a drink. Oh, come out and like party with these people. And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good, eh? Like I'm pretty comfy. But
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I think it's another part of the industry that I think is, you know, there's little things that hold back the full potential of the music industry. And one of them is the alcohol being at the forefronts of the music scene. You know, I get alcohol's been a part of the industry, all the different drugs and all that sort of stuff. I get that's a part of it. I'm not digging on anyone that does that. But it seems to be that you need to do that to get successful. And it's like, man, I'm want to be home at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. And that's the other thing with the music industry is all of your gigs are kind of positioned in a similar area, which is normally a party sort of district.
Yeah.
And it's always like, if you're a headline band, you're not starting until 10 o'clock, which is like late.
It's late as.
It's real late. Like, I don't want to be rocking up to gigs at like 9 o'clock.
No.
Like I want to be in bed by that time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like, there's lots of parts of the industry I think that are quite hard because it's not like sport where you could have 20 sport oval, like you could have 20 rugby league teams, one for each suburb around Brisbane, and you could go play your competition and you wouldn't be playing to heaps of people, you'd be playing to people every week.
Yeah.
Whereas with music, it's very much like there are these pigeonholes, like for Brisbane, the Valley, like there are these areas where most of the live music venues are. And the ones that aren't in that area also kind of struggle sometimes, unless you're like a huge venue and you're getting big artists and big names in all the time. So, yeah.
Man, I think the shift, the paradigm's going to shift because people are drinking less. It's obviously, you know, the whole culture of music's shifting, you know. It's going to shift. It has to shift. I don't think there's a place for putting alcohol first too much. I always say, like, people like Bob Dylan and stuff, like, would he have survived in this industry? I don't know. What do you reckon?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. He also wasn't a very personable artist at all. Like he's
not the best singer. No. He was a storyteller.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that definitely has its place. But I think in the world that a lot of artists live in now, where it's all about your brand, you have to be, for the most part, you probably have to be like a pretty bubbly person. Yeah. And you have to be kind of, your brand is every time you're walking down the street and somebody talks to you, you have to be playing a certain sort of part.
Yeah. Because that's your brand that's it forever. Like,
exactly.
I always say these bands who their whole brand is on that high energy. I'm like, man, that's seems a lot to sustain.
Exhausting.
Exhausting. Yeah. It's crazy as to think about that, you know. But yeah, so over the times and over the years and you know, in all of your experience, like what's been the biggest thing that's jumped out of you that you reckon needs to be addressed or needs to be spoken about in the music industry?
I think generally there's a lot of things that could be, I don't know, changed, I guess. But I think there has to be some form of government intervention to assist in some of the things that are going on in the music industry and like policies in place. Like even the fact that Taylor Swift can come to Australia and bring another American support artist and not bring an Australian local artist on board, and they would be able to make a lot of money just from like the promotion and distribution costs of like touring and playing with a bigger artist like that. So I think there has to be some policy and stuff in place that can actually be done to assist those like sort of issues that are in the music industry.
Yeah, because I think I saw when Pink came, she bought 2 jumbo jets with her. So it means that she didn't use any local suppliers. She probably used some local stagehands and stuff and paid them $25 an hour or something ridiculous. Made her, was it Pink that done $1 billion or Taylor Swift?
No, one of them.
They would have taken 95% of that back.
Yeah.
So they talk about, like, the industry is very, there's a yin and yang. The yin's what everyone knows, and it looks amazing. It looks like it's really successful. I spoke to someone the other day, said, oh, look, Taylor Swift's doing good for the Australian community. I'm like, not in the music industry, not for the local venues.
For the economy, maybe. For the economy in terms of like that one venue that she's playing at for that one night.
For that economy and for the buses and for the council. Yeah. But then they double dip the council and the government. They'll take their money from Taylor Swift and then they'll keep hitting the venues up with excise and with all of these sort of taxes, and insurance goes up. There's no protection.
Nah, not at all. And I remember you, well, I don't know, not remember, but I heard you talking before about the fact that 1,200 venues have kind of closed since COVID. Or is it even since last year?
It was last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
1,200 out of 4,000.
Yeah, so that's over a quarter of the venues are closing down. Like venues that I grew up playing in and venues that I find of like had some of my most fondest memories of playing, like even like the Zoo in Brisbane, which had been around for 35 years, that closing down was pretty heavy. Like I remember seeing that announcement and my partner and I were like, whoa, this is like we knew there was an issue here, but this is like really like right in your face.
Yeah.
Like there's something that needs to change in order for us to be able to play music and for artists to be able to make this a viable career. Like festivals, like the biggest festivals in Australia, Blues Fest and Splendor, done. Like Splendor's not done yet, but like the fact that they had to cancel it, even though they booked some really big headline artists for that festival, like Kylie. They got Kylie back for that. Like the fact that they weren't able to sell tickets means that there's a big issue there.
There's an issue, and I think there's an opportunity. I'm the unpopular opinion guy that I'm going to do specifically about this, is that there's an opportunity that we can see. There's an opportunity that can bring people back into venues. There's an opportunity when you have 40,000 people who are not buying tickets at a festival. That means there's 40,000 people out there who can come to a local venue, who can come out. You know, I had a mate go to at one of the big shows, and it's like for a family, like $5 or $6 grand, you know, and he was out for 4 weeks afterwards. And then the next big show came, and then he's out again, and I'm like, you know, and, you know, you got a mate over here that's come and support me. Oh, sorry, I went to this festival, so I'm broke for the next 3 weeks, right? No problem against festivals. It's that if we start looking at the opportunities, that now you've got extra money in the bank. Okay, the festivals are closed down. Okay, we're you know, potentially about to lose Blues Fest. I never know what's going to happen. Maybe 2 years later, he's going to say, let's bring it all back. Whatever. I don't know.
Might sell the festival to somebody else.
Probably
like,
Live Nation or something like that. Yeah. And, you know, that's another conversation. But what I do know is that people need to come out now with all of that extra money. You didn't go to Splendor. You didn't go to Blues Fest. Or maybe you did. You got all of this extra money. You come down and you support the backbone of the music industry, which is these venues, man. Den Devine, the Zoo obviously is not there anymore. Well, it won't be. Have they finished officially?
Yeah, they finished up in May. Yeah, their last gigs were in May, early June.
Yeah. So, you know, I think there's opportunity.
Yeah, I just feel like it's really hard because for me, the most pivotal moments and the things that made me really get into music were going to gigs from when I was like 15, 16 and like seeing bands play and being like, this is like what I want to do. This is so cool. Like saw them on stage. They're, like I was saying before, they had the crowd in the palm of their hand. They're playing catchy hooks. Yeah. And I'm just sitting there and there's people just like having the best time. And I'm like, that's something I'd love to do. But for a lot of younger people from that like 15 to 19 demographic, they missed out on COVID and then they're missing out on these festivals. It means they don't get the exposure to those kind of lower to middle tier bands. So those lower to middle tier bands can't crack through to get up to like that Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, whatever, like that level. So that it's really hard for the low to mid tier bands to crack it, but also the fact that they haven't had the exposure or the experience to those festival moments where they're with their friends and they're singing their favorite song with their arms around each other and having the best time. Like they haven't had that experience. So it's just really hard because that's probably 4 or 5 years of the economy, that music economy, I guess, that is just going to fall by the wayside. So I'm hoping that there are those interventions in place from now so that those 15, 16-year-olds, when they're going through and they're 18, 19, they're able to go and see their favorite bands. They're able to have the opportunity to do that. And I know that when I was 18, 19, I was going out to gigs every week and I loved it. Yeah. I don't know many younger people that are.
No. And, you know, there's a lot that needs to be done. Well, I believe it starts with the conversation. I think that the silence is consent to the industry that everyone thinks it's okay. It's just really not okay. Like I think the music scene is, you know, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I'm not that person, you know. It's about solutions. I don't want to hear beat the dead horse. But if we have enough people talking about it, you know, we don't want to just talk with musicians. We want to talk with festival organisers. We want to talk with promoters, booking agents, venue owners. If we can all just start talking and start getting out there, that people can understand that there is a bit of a crisis, maybe something can happen, man.
Yeah, there's some people that do come out and say it, and which is true, and it's hard that even with all of these key industry figures saying that there's a problem, that things aren't happening.
Yeah.
I think that's a really hard part of it all. I'd love to have all of the solutions for it. I'd love to say that X amount of percentage of artists on new bills need to be independent, need to be local, need to be whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that is going to be actually implemented on a larger scale. And like things like having policy around international touring artists having to have a local support, that would be a great start. Even like a local in each of the cities they're playing with. Like things like that, so those smaller artists can be found, and then people will go to their show at like a live local music venue because they saw them play at this stadium, and then they can build their following from there.
Yeah, the role of the big acts, they're sort of like the honeybees, you know. They're the ones that have to do the pollinating. If they don't pollinate, leave behind a residue to keep the flowers growing, literally there won't be no flowers next time they come through. They'll go, oh, we want a local, it's gone. Can we go to Sydney again? No, the venues that used to hold you are all shut down.
Yeah.
What can we do? It's like, now's the time.
Yeah, and I feel like also because of the just general economy, people don't have as much disposable income as they used to have to be able to just go out to live music venues and be able to do that. So if there was a policy or government intervention in place that was supporting local live music venues so that they could put on shows for cheap or free, multiple nights a week to get people kind of back in that rhythm of going out again, and people getting back in that rhythm of going to see live bands and live artists. I think that would be really cool. But once again, I'm not sure how it's going to happen, and I'm hoping it will. But
well, it starts with, again, it just starts with having the conversation, and that's where it all begins. It's got to begin somewhere, and I know there's people all the way up the top who've got their voices, and
the big dogs.
will. Yeah, man, we'll bring them. We've already had some pretty big people come through to talk, and we have some upcomers, and we have some. It's great, man. Like, it's awesome. And I know what brings you here's Wild Turkey. Like, they do a lot of stuff in the music scene.
Yeah.
How did they reach out to you, or did you?
They had a mentorship program that they announced with Angus and Julia Stone,
cool.
and I just put my details down, and they gave me a call, and I had a meeting. I had a Zoom meeting with Julia Stone one day, and she's like, do you want to come to Sydney next week and we can go through all these sessions and like hang out? And it was really, really cool. And I think I was at a bit of a weird spot with my music where I was getting some good gigs, I was playing fun shows, and it was seeming like things were rolling, but it's all that facade, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
Like, people will see my social media and they'll be like, oh, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
No, you're
like,
not.
Like, it's just a facade. Like, I'm definitely like proud of a lot of the things that have happened over the last like year, but it's like not a sustainable thing for me at all. So I think, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but Wild Turkey brought me on, and I got to go down to Sydney with some amazing up and coming artists, and we all got to sit in rooms with big industry dogs and chat through a lot of the issues that are going on and have those conversations, like you say. And got to showcase in front of a lot of industry people, and there's already been like a lot of people that have reached out to me from that, which is nice. Like what you were saying about the bigger dogs pollinating the industry, like having them come to watch me showcase. They wouldn't have done that if I didn't get accepted into that program, and now they're messaging me about my music, and we're having those conversations moving forward. So yeah, it was really cool, and I think any business that is interested in bringing on emerging artists that aren't signed to record labels, that was one of the key criteria, was they said don't have a record deal. Awesome. Unsigned. Like we want those people who have stories to come join us. And
labels are they're a dying breed, you know.
Yeah,
and you don't really need them these days.
Yeah, well, all of the tools are out there for you to use. You can definitely get assistance, but like, I don't know. I think for independent artists, there is a pathway that you can take if you're willing to like work hard and learn about the inside parts of the industry as well.
For sure, man. For sure. And today we can't obviously because we got the venue's got to open up soon.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do a song and stuff. But before we wrap it up, so just a couple nice, quick, fast questions. Misconceptions about the music industry. Would you like to clear anything up?
That you actually make money touring. You don't. No. You don't. Like I have a band that I play with and I tour with, and I don't make money. Don't make much money playing shows. Like you'll play to 500-600 people at a show, and I'm just breaking even, sort of thing. Yeah. Sometimes, like it's crazy. That's a big misconception. Is that and also that streams make you money. No, not at all. No. Like people might look at, I don't know, the only people that are making a lot of money are like, once again, the big dogs. The big dogs who are on getting the billions of streams on their songs. For a lot of like indie artists, like it's not, streaming is not like your pathway to make a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. And if you could change one thing about the music industry, what would that be?
I think more diverse lineups generally, and I think there have been things that have been put into place so that they're like, I don't know, like you look at a lineup and it's like pop heavy, or if you look at a festival lineup, it's very like rock heavy. Or I feel like diversity in lineups is something that is so important, and not only diversity in genre, but diversity in culture, diversity in, because then everybody gets the experience of like watching music from other cultures at a music festival. And I don't know. I feel like diversity generally is something that I don't want to say bad things, the government or like places are trying to do to look a certain way, but I don't.
Like you mean like sort of quotas,
like a tick box exercise, but I feel like it is really important. Like I don't know, my partner telling me that she went to a poetry event and there was this Samoan person that was singing and doing like a cappella local songs and then poetry within it, like stuff like that. You wouldn't get the opportunity to see that unless you were there. But I feel like if you're getting cultures and different perspectives in front of a lot of eyes, then it does make, I don't know, it just gives you a better perspective on the world. For sure. Generally.
For sure. And last three questions that we want to focus on. Obviously, our the big holy trinity of the music industry: venues, musicians, and punters. Obviously, that's what makes the music scene what it is. Do you have any advice for venues to better accommodate the music industry?
I think
let them play originals.
I think venues that have backlines set up and that support artists generally, people want to keep going back. So I think if you feel that support, I don't know. I know that when I've played at venues where they really want you there and they really look after you, it makes you feel awesome and you want to do it again. So I think from the venue side of things, if they look after the artists and they're making sure that they're feeling comfy and they're feeling good, that's a really big part of it. Den Devine do a great job at that.
They do. Yeah. They got an awesome backline. It's true. Like I know what you mean. You want to walk in, music's like so much energy. And I don't want to be crude here, but the way I see it is sometimes it's like sleeping with someone. Like if the person's just been a starfish, it's very hard to do your thing, right? And I don't mean to be rude again, but for regard to the music industry, if the venues are starfish and you're trying to pull your heart into it and they're just like, don't care, you go, is it me? Am I doing something?
Yeah, and I also think it's like every part of that as well, whether it's like the sound person to the door person to the bar staff to like the whole thing. I feel like everybody kind of has to have this invested interest in what's going on, because I've definitely played at venues where there's sound people that aren't interested in anything that you're doing. They don't want you there. You don't want them there. Like, but you've got to just like kind of deal with that situation as it comes. I've definitely been at venues where it's like they don't want live music there. Yeah. It's like, why are you a live music venue then? I think I think it has to be, every moving part has to be invested in what's going on.
From the top down.
Yeah, of course. And like when you're playing these sort of venues, like when you're playing venues that aren't like your 5,000-6,000 cap venues, when you're playing like your live local music venues, if they have things in place like a backline, like just a general backline, or they have venue staff that want you there, that will keep bringing bands in. That will
Yeah.
keep that local economy going. And then the other side of it is just getting people through the door.
Yeah, for sure. And for your fellow musicians, obviously it takes a team to get the industry going. Obviously, if you're putting your heart into Den Devine, some musician comes in tomorrow, doesn't give a shit because he should have quit 5 years ago, but he's comfortable. That lowers the value off us, right? Off us musicians. So throw some advice out there for the fellow musician of either can be come to your gig on time. Don't cancel 2 days before because that happens so many music venues.
Oh, you got to be professional, and like it's just a major part of it. Like,
don't drink the top shelf.
Nah, man, don't be coming late. Don't be coming late to your sound check. Don't be coming late for everything. Like, try your best to be
Rehearse.
punctual, professional. Have your shit down pat. Have your like set ready to go, and especially, I don't know, from like a support artist side of things, because that's mainly this year I've just been playing on support bills, touring around with artists, like punctual, professional, on time. For me, it's not my gig.
Yeah.
So I've just got to be there and like ready to go when they say, Andy, you're up. Like, I think.
And stay, right? Stay.
Yeah.
Stay till the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Help roll some cables up if you want.
Yeah. Like, look after your mates.
Yeah.
And I feel like the other thing is that I would just advise generally is if you have friends that do music, go down and watch them. Because, like, I don't know, for me personally, like, maybe that when I was doing my first gigs with my first bands, I'd have mates coming down all the time. But then that, like, maybe the fun of it wasn't as much. But I feel like if you've got mates that are doing something creative, I don't think they realize how much their support means to their friends that are doing those things.
Yeah.
Like, if I've got mates that are playing sport, I'm really going to try and go down and watch them play,
Yeah.
because I know for me how nice it feels when I look out in a crowd of people and I see one of my like close friends or my family or something like that. Like, I feel like if you have people that are close to you that do something creative, go and support them as much as you can. That's not just music. That could be art. That could be drama. That could be acting. That could be literally anything. Like, because it takes a lot of your mental load, putting it into music, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and
Your whole soul.
all of you.
That's why people sell it to the devil sometimes. It's an easy deal.
All of you goes into it. So I feel like I don't know. For me, like if I'm laying at home and I'm feeling really tired, but I got a friend of mine that's playing a gig, I know how nice it feels if I see them at my show. So I'm like, I'm just gonna dust off my shoes and I'm gonna make the effort. I'll drive into the city. I'll go watch my mate play because I know how nice it feels. And then they come up to you after, like, man, thank you so much for coming to my show. Like, you know how nice it feels. So for punters, if you have mates that do music, go watch them play as much as you can.
Awesome, man. And then the last piece of the puzzle is your punter. I know sometimes I go to a gig and they're just being rude. They come up, cut you off mid-song. You sing an original that you wrote about something that hurt. And they're like, sing Wonderwall. And you're like, what do you reckon? What do you got to say to just the average punter? Just to sort of make, we're trying to create an environment for a budding, thriving music industry. What do you think punters could do?
I think listen and pay attention. Because I know that if somebody tells a story on stage before a song and I'm listening, I'm really listening to the words when they're singing it to me. Or not to me, but when they're singing it generally.
I know what you mean.
Whereas like I've been playing a few gigs recently where there's been people talking over the top and I can't concentrate, and it's just really hard if there's people trying to talk over you when you've been booked to play music at a venue and you're kind of expecting to walk in there and people are wanting music there, and sometimes they don't. Like, I played a gig, I don't want to name any names or any venues or anything, but I was playing a gig 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was playing with a pretty big band, and they'd sold out the venue and it was a big show, and I was playing and there was people talking over the top of me. That's fine. I was like, look, I'm a support artist. I'm just here. Most of these people probably don't know who I am. That's okay. I don't mind. I'll just do my thing. But the fact that like they'd paid a decent amount of money to watch a band that they supposedly loved, I couldn't hear them play. And I love their music as well. And I couldn't hear them play because there were so many people talking over the top of them. It's like, I found it quite hard, and they apologized to me, and I like apologized to them when we like left the venue. They're like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry about like the way that it was handled." I'm like, "I'm sorry for you guys that you had to play when there was just a room of people that like kind of wanted to one up you by talking over you."
Yeah.
Like it's really hard.
Was there an MC?
Pardon?
Was there an MC?
No.
I've always thought maybe an MC is like a missing part of it as well, because I think the MC directs the audience, and he's the one that, you know, usually MCs are pretty, I don't know the word, but
Extroverted, like they're pretty like
they're like the lion tamers, and their job is, you know, when I've played a gig with an MC, and I've played one without an MC. I've had a big 10-piece band, and we had an MC. His name was Baptiste, and he was just the killer MC, and he just had the whole venue. This is at Beach Hotel in Byron, so it was like massive. You know, there's probably about 700 people in there, and he got the whole crowd pumping, and he was like, "Everyone give it up." And then, you know, you come out and you're like, "Whoa," and everyone's going crazy. But then I played without it, and it's just, there's no one to control the audience to be like, "Hey guys, I know you guys are here to play some, you know, watch some music. Let's be quiet. Let's listen to the musician." An MC maybe can do these things as well, you know?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely things that bands try to do, like whether it's a walk-on song, whether it's a lot of artists will come out and do an acknowledgement of country. Like there's a lot of like things, but whether or not the audience are wanting to listen, or whether or not they're wanting to like, it just, I don't know.
But so your advice is to audience, listen, be respectful, have some etiquette.
A little bit. Oh, not a little bit, a lot. Like
a lot.
it is like, it's really hard to play music, and it's really hard to pour your soul out to people that are just gonna like talk over you and want to be rude. And it's like, well, why are you here if you don't want to be a part of this as well? I don't know. I just feel like, from the punters side of things, go see your mates play, and don't yell over the top of them. They're my two biggest tips.
Awesome, man. Rapid fire question. Favorite instrument?
My main instrument's trumpet, but I think my favorite instrument would be my electric guitar.
Dream venue to perform at?
There's heaps.
Mine's Red Rock Amphitheatre.
Yeah, that would be pretty mad. I don't know. I love a lot of the venues in Brisbane and in Australia. Yeah. And I think like as an independent artist, there was always like those couple of goals when you're starting out, which are like Triple J, Splendor, like whatever those sort of things are. But I love the Triffid, and I've played a couple of shows like with my band there, and that is always pretty epic. Like, awesome. I love it. I love it.
Triffid's
one of my favorite venues, and like the fact that like I'm playing there with my band in a few weeks again as well. Like, it's,
what's your band? Is it just your
Andy
name?
Martin? Yeah,
cool.
So it's all me, but I've got a band that plays my tunes with me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And Dream collab,
Sam Fender. I don't know if, do you know Sam Fender?
No.
He's a Brit indie rock artist, and he's a big influence of mine, and I love his music, and I think that kind of helped push me in the direction that I'm going as well.
For sure. And people can follow you on all platforms?
All the things.
Andy Martin?
Yeah, Andy Martin on, I don't know, Instagram, socials, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all that crap. Yeah.
And plenty of songs.
Yeah, there's heaps of stuff. I put out an album a couple of years ago. I've got a heap of singles, put out an EP about 4 years ago.
And you got one you're going to focus on the next 12 months?
Yeah,
maybe?
I'm touring next month, and I've got a song out next month, so...
Which will probably be this week for anyone who's tuning in.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
probably be tomorrow.
9th of October is when the song's coming out. Cool. So it'll be around that time. I've got heaps of fun things planned. That I'm getting in the studio at the end of the month and recording a heap more for next year, and working towards whatever that might look like. But
awesome. Well, it was a pleasure. I know it was a bit of a squeezed-in conversation, but that's okay. I think we chewed on the fat.
Yeah,
and I think in a year's time, we should get you back, have another conversation, see what's happened in 12 months, see if anything's changed out there in the wide world of the music scene.
Yeah, I'd be keen. I could talk about it for days. I find it hard when you don't. I don't know. I've got mates that are definitely in the music industry, but we don't really have these chats as much. It's just like, oh, it's crap that this thing doesn't happen. But you don't like have the in-depth chats, and you don't go a little bit deeper, and you don't dig a little bit deeper on it.
And I think we will. I reckon in a year's time, I would have loved to now, but obviously things just happen the way they do, and we get a bit of Brizzy Gold Coast traffic sort of things happening, and we had the quartet crew in here, which is pretty epic.
They were mad, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So I'm looking forward to. We'll definitely get deeper. We're only 4 or 5 at this stage episodes in, so I'm looking forward to what's going to come. We've got some pretty cool people booked in to come through here, which is awesome, as JK47 and Helen Brothers and all these guys. So in a year's time, we'll have heaps of experience, and I reckon we'll start, probably need 2 hours instead of this little quick session. But
yeah, I suppose, I'd want to listen for 2 hours for people having those sort of conversations, but I feel like there's definitely a lot of room for it, and there's a lot of like space for people to have these chats and chat about anything generally about the music industry, because I think it's not nice hearing people say that it's an easy thing, or like oh you're just playing your guitar and singing your songs. Like there's so much more that goes into it.
I get that all the time, man. People think it's like they don't realize it's like you give them a guitar and go, oh, here you go, you do it, and they go, I can't do it. And you're like, well, then don't tell me it's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard. I'm putting my soul out, standing here naked for the entire room that doesn't even know me.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's really hard. And like, especially when you're, I don't know if you do like the solo cover artist thing, but like you take your gear to the venue, you set it up, you do all the work. You have to drive sometimes hours to get to the venues, driving home. You're playing at a venue, you might have someone say, play this song, or, oh, why are you playing that? Or people just like generally not wanting you there. Yeah. It's really hard.
It is hard.
It's really hard. Like you don't go into a lawyer's office or a surgeon's office and like start telling them what to do. Yeah. Like, why do people feel like they can do that to a musician? Like, play this song. Play this song, because you don't like. It's just it's.
Do you reckon someone's gonna go up to Oasis and go play Wonderwall?
No, well, probably. They'd probably say we won't play it because you said it.
Yeah. I've played it more than Oasis.
Yeah, probably.
I know it. Probably gonna sing it tomorrow. Awesome, Andy. It was a really pleasure having you here, man. Really, really. Thanks for the conversation.
No, cheers, bro. I really appreciate you having me on for this.
I'm looking forward to reopening this next time you guys. We get you back in here again. And just dive in a bit more deeper, because I feel like we just scratched the surface. Yeah,
that's all right. I reckon we got some good points there, but I as I said, I'd love to chat about this forever. So awesome. Like I reckon we've definitely got some room to have this chat again and see what's happened in a year.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
cool, man. See you, everyone.